Hi, everyone. I'm James Rincon, Innovation Program Manager at Avangrid. I'm here today with Avangrid CEO Pedro Azagra. And Pedro, thanks very much for your time today, sitting down for an interview for the Yale Clean Energy Finance Forum. I think off the top, we can start by you just giving us a quick overview of Avangrid as a company and all the ways that Avangrid is participating in the energy sector today.
Thank you very much and good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I live in New Haven, so I'm surrounded by Yale students all the time, even in my building. So from that point of view, I'm also a teacher. I've been teaching at university for many years, so very, very good for me to be in front of you. Avangrid, we have a company with more than 40 billion of assets. We have a presence right now in more than 23 states in the US. And just to give you a feeling, we are, we have a workforce of 7,000 people. Over 7,000 people are working for us right now directly, with many thousands indirectly working for us as well. I think we do two businesses. One is networks. We serve more than 3 million customers, both electricity and gas, in New York, in Connecticut, in Massachusetts, and in Maine. And then we also do renewables. We have more than 8,000 megawatts of installed capacity of green energy, onshore wind, solar, and offshore. And I'd like to focus a little bit on offshore. We have right now more than 3,000 megawatts of existing projects being developed in offshore. One of them, Park City, is here in Connecticut. Just to give you a feeling of the size of the project, is going to serve or be equivalent to 14% of the energy Connecticut needs. Just one park of 800 megawatts. So from that point of view, very pleased to be here with you. We are part of the Iberdrola group. We serve globally more than 100 million customers. We have right now more than 50,000 megawatts of installed capacity. So we are part of a very strong group. But in the US, our headquarters are here in Connecticut. So a pleasure to be here.
So the Clean Energy Finance Forum is focused this semester on understanding ways that recent landmark legislation is affecting the business models of companies in the energy sector. So maybe you can give us some insight into how bills like the Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act and the Inflation Reduction Act are affecting the business model at Avangrid.
I think one of the differences between the US government right now, when you compare the US with Europe, for example, is the US is taking actions, is taking decisions. The infrastructure bill, more than 500 billion of money, to do things. When you see the Inflation Reduction Act, almost 400 billion of also, money to do things, are actions. You see many other countries, a mess in gas, a mess in infrastructure, a mess in connections. It's a real mess. I think the US right now is giving some signals that are important to the financial community, to the industrial community, and to all of us that invest. The first one is long-term stability. It's not just a one-year action. This is 10 years of predictability. That's very important. Second, infrastructure. We have an issue right now. You want to do anything you want, you need networks. They're giving more than 60 billion to resiliency. Yes, because we need to make sure, modernization of the networks allows digitalization, allows, factories to be placed in communities. So from that point of view, the networks is as important as renewable energy. Without networks, there is no energy, flowing into the system. I think when you see the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, it focuses on green energy. More than 40% reduction in gas emissions by 2030. The only way is giving a framework that allows the industry, the green industry, to focus and invest in the country. I think this allows 10 years of credibility, credible horizon. I think allows transferability of tax credits. The way in which the US allows renewables is through tax credits. You need to be able to transfer them, to monetize them. So I think IRA and infrastructure bill are two examples of the US government in this environment of a mess everywhere. They're actually taking actions in the green right direction that we think there is no comeback but that one.
So that's really great insight into how these pieces of legislation are creating opportunity in the energy sector for companies like Avangrid. Maybe you can give us some insight into specific projects or initiatives that Avangrid is launching that are taking advantage of some of those opportunities.
I love this question. I think in my case, I always ask people, students, teachers, everybody that I work with is, tell me what you've done in your life for the energy future. What have you contributed? It doesn't matter small, big, but what have you done? It's not just to have a flag and I want this. No, what have I done? I think in our case, let's speak not the last 20 years. We've been the leader globally in renewables, through the Iberdrola group. Let's focus on what we're doing. In the next 3 years, more than $21 billion investments. That's going to be at least 80% in networks, very important, and then 20% in renewables, offshore, solar, and onshore wind. That shows our commitment to green. Not even one gas-focused, coal-focused investment. Everything is networks and green renewable sources of energy. I think when you look at networks, what is important? E-billing, automatic metering systems, that's what we're deploying right now in our customers around the Northeast, because there is no comeback. That's the future. We need to automation, we need to things, like digitalization. That's happening. And I think we're going to see more and more, the customers. And renewables, very simple. I think everybody would love, other alternatives of energy. The real opportunities to, for example, serve the Northeast is called offshore wind. There are no more gas pipelines being built. There is no space, for additional major onshore or solar development. And transmission lines, you have a lot of issues because the generators try to block them. Even funding referendums to go against any transmission line bringing hydropower, for example, green power from Canada. So offshore is, for example, one of the few alternatives to continue having additional energy available in the Northeast. So from that point of view, more than 21 billion investment for us, and all of that in green investments.
So you mentioned a lot about the importance of grid modernization and investments in infrastructure for allowing the growth of renewable energy and how it's facilitated through these bills. So with all that focus on infrastructure, maybe you can shift gears and tell us a little bit about specifically the Inflation Reduction Act and opportunities that are available through that piece of legislation that Avangrid is taking advantage of.
I think the Inflation Reduction Act, first of all, is a lot of money. This is, almost 400 billion money available for a lot of things. The first thing is long-term. It's 10 years that allows you to know that the tax credits are going to be there. It's not, bipartisan agreement every 2 years, maybe, maybe not. You have 10 years right now of certainty. Second, it's focusing in all the green technologies. It's promoting, hydro, it's promoting wind, it's promoting offshore, onshore solar. It's obviously also promoting hydrogen, battery storage. So basically, no exception. Anything that is green, it focuses. For us, as Avangrid, for example, we have just started a first MOU analysis for a first hydrogen development that we will be considering in the US. Very nice. Still not public, what we're going to be doing, but I think probably in 2-3 months, we'll come up in public with that investment. And from that point of view, hydrogen is there, but we like green hydrogen. We don't like gray hydrogen. Let's be careful with the words. I think they're important. So students, be careful. Don't follow the green hydrogen. Let's just focus on the green hydrogen. I think for us, the combination of renewables, hydrogen, ammonia, fertilizers is needed. And that's why we can use renewables to use the excess production to help to produce ammonia, which is needed for fertilizing and other uses. I think in the same way, why IRA is important. It allows transfer of tax credits. Before, you only could use tax equity by the banks. So 3-4 banks were making a fortune. Oligopoly, they were charging anything they wanted. Now, no. Anybody who has tax basis, can actually, get and buy these tax credits. So it's very helpful for us because it opens a market and basically reduces the prices. Finally, the targets. I think it's focused on what? Reducing carbon emissions and making sure that you redeploy an American industry. I think that's also important. Most of the times you develop things and you say, well, why things are not being built here? I think in our case, 95% of the suppliers that we have in the US are US suppliers, local suppliers. We believe the only way to be successful is to be local, and sometimes local